So Vanilla, are you good with whatever we covered? We covered till incident, correct?
Yes.
All good till there? Did you get the instance ready with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start today with what is problem. Let's see what is problem. And then, so all these basics are required, and after this slide gets completed, then we'll move to the technical stuff of it. As in, then I'll show it to you how to write scripts and all within Servicenow. Okay.
Okay.
So today I'll begin with problem. What is problem? Let's try to understand the definition of it. So within Servicenow, whenever you are doing any kind of, let's say I'm the user, and suppose, let's say we both work in a secured bay. As in what we do over there is in our office to get the admission in one of the project, we are using our ID card to swipe and through that we are logging in. Suppose today when you go to the office, what you see over there is that today the swiping machine is not working. What will you do? Obviously, you are not able to enter the bay. So what will you do? Obviously, you will go ahead and you will raise a ticket of a kind. You will raise what? You will raise incident. Why incident? Because incident means if something is broken, if something is not working as desired, you will raise a ticket in the system. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So now let's see what am I going to do? How am I going to proceed on? Vanilla, I can see Ramya has joined. Is she taking the class?
Yeah, now she joined.
Ramya, are you there? Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Ramya, are you taking this class?
I'm sorry?
Are you taking this Servicenow training?
Yes.
No, because actually just now Vanilla told that you are taking another training also. That's why I'm just clarifying it.
Actually, I have not decided it. Shall I tell you on Monday? Is that fine?
But on Monday for sure you have to take the decision because otherwise you can't attend the class, correct?
Yeah, sure. I will tell you on Monday.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so today I was telling about problem. We have just started. So I was giving an example that let's say if multiple people are facing the similar kind of issue, what will they do? Each of them will raise an incident saying that something is broken in the organization, correct?
Yes.
So now, what they are going to do over here in this particular case, you have to, suppose I'm the technical guy. So suppose 10 of the people raise the incident of the same kind. So for me to work on whatever is my finding, whatever is my query, now every time I'll have to update all these 10 records, correct? So it is what? It is kind of redo work for me. Correct?
Yes.
As in I'm, sorry?
Actually, we mentioned on the incident is that problem is high or low. So they chose first higher preference, right? Higher problem. They will
No,
solve.
that was not problem. That was priority.
Yeah.
The one which you are talking about, that was priority. That was a field in the incident. Now I'm talking about something called problem. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So now let's see what is this. What is a problem record? So as I told you that if multiple incidents have the similar kind of issue, obviously if who will be able to relate the incidents are having the similar kind of issue or not? Only the technical team person, correct? If I am the end user, I am facing issue, I went ahead and I created the incident, but technical team has this understanding to understand which all incidents are related in the system. Correct? Only they have this understanding. So what will happen in this particular case? In this particular case, rather than updating each and every incident every time, what they will do is they will go ahead in the system and they will create a new record called problem. So like incident, there is another table called problem. So the technical team will go ahead, create a problem, and they will associate all the related ones in this particular record. They will associate all the related incidents in this particular problem. So what will be the benefit? Now they will not update each and every incident every time. Rather, they will only update the problem record. So it will be a time saving activity for them. Does that scenario make sense to each of you? Guys? Does that make sense?
Yes, Saloni.
Uh-huh. Tell me. Okay. So now let's see how am I going to, work on the record, as in how am I going to create a problem and associate the incidents. Let's see that. So I'll go over here in the instance. I'll type what? I'll type problem in the left navigation. And I'm going to create a new incident, a new problem. I'll click on create new over here. And once you click on create new, you will see again the similar kind of understanding that the number gets auto-populated over here. So that why number gets auto-populated? Do you remember this concept? What I told you about number, the number gets auto-populated so that uniqueness is there. It becomes quite easy that if individual record have individual numbering, it becomes quite easy for people to interact with reference to this number. I have got this query or whatsoever it is. Correct? Now, over here in this particular case, if you compare it with incident, let me even open an incident existing record. Let's say, suppose I go to incident and I open an incident record over here. What you can see over here, the number is beginning with INC, correct? But over here in the problem record, the number is beginning with a PRB. What you can understand over here, you can understand that, okay, individual tables have individual numbering sequence. How does it help? Obviously, if individual tables have individual numbering sequence, just by seeing the numbering starting point, you can understand that, okay, this record belongs to the problem, this record belongs to the a table. Now, to the incident table, this record belongs to the problem table. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Configuration item already I told you, we'll cover that later. Let it be. Now, over here in the problem table, you can see you are directly able to select the priority. There is no such concept like in the case of incident, we used to select impact, we used to select urgency, and then the priority used to get auto-calculated. But over here, this is not the case. Why? Who is raising the problem record? What I told you, who will raise the problem? Guys? What I told you just now, who creates the problem, who creates the incident? What is the difference between that? Can any one of you tell me that? Are you people there? Hello? Guys, am I audible?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me who creates an incident and who creates a problem. What is the difference between the two set of people? Guys, just now I told you. What was that? I told you the end users, the customer create incident, and problem can only be created by the technical team, the team who are expert on any kind of technical issues. Only they can create a record for themselves. Did I tell you that? Correct? So now in this particular
technical team will get the problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So because technical team is creating the problem, obviously they will have an understanding to relate which issue is of high priority. Because they are not the end users, they understand the criticality of the issues, they have got more expertise. So that's why the technical team will directly fill in the priority over here. They'll not play with the impact and urgency. Does that make sense?
Could you please repeat again?
Okay, so what I was saying here is that at any point in time, because the technical team always have more expertise in comparison to the end users. Obviously, technical team knows they have that understanding to understand which thing needs more criticality. As in, let's say if the printer is broken, suppose, so in this case, end user can make it a priority 1. But the technical team has an understanding to relate which issue is more critical to the organization, which issue is less critical to the organization. Correct? So that's why technical team is not going to play with the impact or urgency. They can directly select the priority over here directly. They'll not play with impact or urgency. So whatever is the priority, they'll just go over here and make the selection over here. Does that make sense to you people? Okay. So that is the case with the priority. Change request, we'll see that later. Let it be. Let's skip this field for now. Next is what? Next is known error. So if the problem record which you are creating, let's say I'm creating the problem record because suppose printer is not working. Let's say a printer in my building 8 is not working. So if I'm already aware of it, if the organization is already aware of this ongoing issue, then what you will do, you will check this known error, saying that already the team is aware of it, already the team is working on it. So just to track it down that the awareness is already there, you will just check this checkbox. It does not have any other implication. It is only for the developer, or sorry, for the technical team understanding. What is knowledge? We'll see that later. Let it be. Again, the same field that is opened and opened by was what? Opened stores the timestamp when the record was created. Opened by stores the person who clicked on create new. That person's name gets populated over here in the opened over here. Okay. Let's see the next one over here. Let's move forward. So what is next over here? Next is your state. What is state choices? We come to that later. Let it be. And after that, there is something called assignment group. The group who is going to work on it, they will assign it to themselves. They'll fill in their name over there, or you can even, if I am the technical team, I can create the problem for me, or I can even create the problem record for any other technical team. I can help the other team also to create a problem for themselves. So assignment group is the group name. Assigned to is the member in that group who is going to work on it. Guys, do you remember what was work notes list? What I told you in the case of incident, the same functionality is over here. What was work notes list? Do you people remember that? Yesterday I told it to you.
Yes, I think only developers can under the work notes list.
So whosoever name you are adding it in the work notes list, they will be able to see all the updates happening in the record.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's see the next one over here. Short description is again for the single line description, the brief or the crisp description of the issue you will give in short description, and the detailed description of the issue you will give it in the description field. Okay. Now till here are we good with? And obviously close notes, when it will make sense, close notes you will use while closing the record. So when I'll close this problem, when I fix this problem, then I'll close it. That time I'll be filling the close notes. So I'm not going to fill it for now. Short description, if you want, I can fill something dummy. I'm just typing it over here. Let me type your name. Obviously, real time you will give something relevant. So close notes, work notes we already know. I'll just type in something over here, and I'm going to either you do submit or you do a right click save. Anyway, you are just submitting the record to the database. But what is the difference between the two? The difference between the two is that if you click on submit, it will take you to the previous page wherever you were. If you do a right click save, it will submit the record, plus it will keep you on the same page. That is the only difference between the records over here. Okay. So now let's see that how does it work in the system. Let's move further with this. I'm going to save it because I want to continue on the same page. Okay, so it looks like I made some field manager. Please ignore these two fields, guys. These are just some dummy fields which I created, some logics I wrote for another class, so ignore those fields. So I'm just going to save it up. So now let's move forward. Let's see how does it work in the system. So now over here you can see a problem record is coming, and whatever I give in the work notes, it got passed over here in the activity. So what will get stored in the activity? It gets stored the person who entered the work notes, then timestamp when the work notes was entered. Okay. Now what is next over here? Let's see that. Next over here is your where did that go? Okay. So now currently what is the state? It is open right now. Now what I told you, when you will create problem, when related incidents have the same cause, when n number of incidents are having the same issue, the same concern, then you are going to create a problem record. So what you will do, you need to associate all those incidents which have the same cause. How will you do that? So after creating the problem, whatever incidents are related to it, for associating those, you will go at the bottom of the problem record. Only after submitting this tab will come. This incident tab will only come when you submit the record. After submitting, what I'll do, if I want to create a new incident, I'll click on new. I don't want to create an incident. I want to associate the existing incident. What will I do? I'll click on edit. And then in the left navigation, it will show me all the incidents available in the system right now. So in the left side, you can see all the incidents available over here. So now because I am the technical team, I have the list of incidents which are associated, which have the same cause. So what I did, I went ahead, I created a problem record, and now I am going ahead in the system and I'm going to associate the incidents. So obviously I'll have the incident number which I need to associate to this problem record. So let's say I want to associate the 1, the 15, anything, I'm just associating it. Double click on it, or even if you click on it once and click on this arrow, both the way you can add the incident. Similarly, if you want to remove the association, let's say I don't want to associate this incident. I'll click on it once, I'll click on the bottom arrow, or I will double click on it. Either way I can remove the association. So now, only when you click on save, let's say if I click on save right now, what does it mean? It means that I have created a problem record. So now, me as a technical team, I'll work on this problem record. I'll not work on the incident record. So now whatever update I have to do, whatever findings I have to record, all the findings, where will I record? I'll record it in the problem record. So now, if you go at the bottom of it, you can see the incident record got associated over here. Now, one thing to understand over here is that, suppose I am the end user, how will I know whether, the technical team has created a problem record or not? As in, is the technical team working on my issue or not? So obviously I have to let, the technical team has to let me know that the problem record has been created. Does that make sense? So what will I do in this particular case? In this particular case, for technical team to let me know, the technical team, suppose I'm the technical person, I'll open the incident, and in the incident, I'll change the state to awaiting problem. So any incident whose state is awaiting problem means the end user needs to understand that, okay, their incident is being worked, but not individually on the incident level, but the technical team is directly working on what? Directly working on the problem record. Does that make sense? Okay, so now you will see over here in the case of incident, there are 3 awaiting states. So yesterday I showed it to you, the meaning of your new, active, resolved and closed, but I didn't explain you all these awaiting scenarios. So let's try to understand that. So now whenever it is awaiting problem, when will you change to awaiting problem? As I told you that if you will make it awaiting problem only when you have a problem record created in the system and your team is going to work on that, rather than working on the individual incident record. So why all these awaiting scenarios make sense in the system? Let's try to understand that. So at any point in time in the system, what we need to do, at any point in time in the system, whenever a ticket is assigned to the technical team, a timer starts ticking off. The timer may vary, as in, let's say, suppose you can design that, okay, if the incident of priority 1 is created, we'll give a timestamp of 8 hours to the technical team to resolve the issue. If incident of priority 2 is created, we'll give 10 hours to resolve the issue. So something like this, a defined time frame. The hours can differ based on the organization to organization, based on what kind of timer they want to run. But yeah, overall, you have some timer associated with the records in the system. Because why do we do that? We do that so that obviously we need to track it down, how many hours the technical team has already taken to resolve the issue and how many hours are still left in which the technical team will solve the issue. Does that make sense to you guys? So now to do that at any point in time, whenever the state is active, whenever the state is active means the timer starts ticking off. So till the time the state is active, the timer keeps on running. It does not hold for any cause. It keeps on running continuously. What will happen in this case? Obviously, let's say, so to keep a track how much time the technical team has already taken to resolve the issue, this timer comes into this. But when is the technical team going to create a problem? He is only going to create a problem if the complexity of the issue is more. Obviously, Only if the complexity of the issue is more, then only multiple people are facing the same issue. So obviously, if multiple people are facing the same issue, we can say the issue is very critical. So in that case, technical team created a problem. He started working on it, but because it is very, complex situation, complex kind of requirement, obviously we can't restrict the technical team to say you have to resolve the issue in this given time frame. We can't do that. Makes sense to you guys? So what you will do in this particular case? In this particular case, you need to move ahead in the system and you need to define what? You need to define that the timer should pause. The moment the state of the incident is still awaiting problem, the timer should pause, it should not take off. Because if the complexity is more, if a problem record got associated, means we are not going to restrict the technical team to resolve the issue in a given time frame. We are going to give them more time because the issue is of high criticality, the issue is more complex than it looks it in the system. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So now, in the case of awaiting, the timer will stop. Again, another one is awaiting user info. Suppose I am the technical team. Obviously, the time that my ticket was active, I was supposed to work on it. My timer was continuously keeping a track, how much time has passed, how much time is still left for me to solve the issue. So obviously, if it is awaiting user info, when you will make it awaiting user info, if suppose I am the technical guy, you are the end user, you are the caller right now, let's say. So if I want some information from you, I'm the technical guy in this situation. If I want some information from you and before that I can't proceed further. So what will I do in this particular case? Obviously in this particular case, why should the timer tick off for me? Because I am not the person, I can't do anything in my system. I'm not the dependent person. It depends on you to work on the issue. You have to provide me some information. So in this case, again to pause the timer, I'll change the state to what? I'll change the state to awaiting user info. So when the state is awaiting user info means what? Means the user has to work on it, the end user has to provide some info. So I'll suppose I'm the technical guy, I'll change the state to awaiting user info. Then you as a customer, you will provide the info, whatever info you have to give, and then you will manually change the state to back to active and update the record to me. So that now again I can work on the ticket. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Next is what? Awaiting evidence. It can also be the case that suppose your customer raised a issue. They told that, okay, you do this, these are the steps, and then you will be able to replicate the issue. When you went ahead in the system, you will not able to replicate it. What you will do in this particular case, obviously if you are not able to replicate it, you can't fix it. You went to the customer saying that, sorry sir, I am not able to replicate the issue, I can't fix it up. But then the customer says it to you that, okay, no, I don't care for it because the issue occurred in the past, so please go ahead and fix it up. So now there is a complex situation in which neither the client is agreeing to close the ticket nor you are in a situation to fix the issue because you don't know how to replicate it. So what you will do in this particular case? In this particular case, you will change the state of ticket to the awaiting evidence. Means you are saying that, okay, I'm not going to close the ticket, but I'm changing the state to awaiting evidence. Means I'll wait till the time the ticket is, it is, I'm able to replicate the issue. Till that time it will be in awaiting evidence. That is, the timer will not tick off for you. Does that make sense to you? Guys, so in all the three awaiting cases, anywhere the timer ticking gets paused, the use case of all these are quite different. Okay. Everything clear in the case of incident, and also because if you remember, this incident was associated to the problem. So what was my duty? What I wanted to change the state to awaiting problem. So we are now aware that, okay, this ticket is not as an incident but as a problem. Now You remember we associated in the problem, we went at the bottom, I clicked on edit and I associated the problem to this incident. The association is stored is because in the case of incident table, if you go to related record tab, over there, there's a field called problem that gets auto-populated with the problem record once you associate the problem record to a record. Does that make sense, guys? Or am I confusing you? So always the association is stored in the incident table. It is not stored in the problem table, but it is stored in the incident table in the system. Make sense? So yeah, Vanilla, tell me. Vanilla, what is your query?
Could you please repeat again?
Which one? The associations I was saying, when you went ahead in the problem and just one second. When you went ahead in the problem and when you associated in the problem, you remember I clicked on edit and I associated the instance. So when you did that edit, how the association happened? The association happened because of this field in the incident. So which field stores the association between incident and a problem record? Always this field in the incident table stores the association between the records. That is, in the case of incident, there is a field called problem which stores the sys ID. So what is sys ID? We'll see that later. Which stores the problem record number over here in the problem field. So if you store any problem record over here, the problem, your incident gets associated to that particular problem. And one incident can only be associated to one particular problem. You can't associate your incident to multiple problems. That is not possible. But one problem can have multiple incidents in the system. Okay. Vanilla, is it clear to you now?
Yes, Saloni. One problem have multiple incidents, right?
Yeah, one problem can have multiple incidents. That's why we created problem, correct? When multiple incidents were having the same cause, that's why we created problem, correct?
Yes.
But one incident can only be associated to one problem.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Now, let's go back to the problem record. Let's see what all states are there in the problem record. So I'll go over here to the problem record. Let me open it directly. Let me type problem. I'll go to open. So list of problem, I can see it in the open. How will I get the last record number? If I'm not sure what was the last, do a right click on the number. Do sort Z2. It means it will show the last problem record created in the system at the top. This is the problem record. I'll open it up. What is the state right now? It is open. Suppose it is assigned to me. Suppose I'll give some group name over here. And in the group, I'm going to select a user. So suppose I am Beth. So what will I do? I'll open the problem record. I'll start analyzing the issue. I'll fix it up. So once I fix the issue, I'll directly change the issue state to close and resolved. Can you tell me why over here close and resolved are the same state? But in the case of incident, if you remember, I told you close and resolved are two different states in the case of incident. Do you remember that? Any ideas, guys? Why over here both are the same one?
Yeah, when the technical team person open the issue, it's it change solve, right?
See, so in the case of incident, there were two parties involved. One was customer who faced the issue. One was technical team who was resolving the issue. So because final call whether the issue is resolved or not should be taken by end user. So that's why technical team only used to resolve it. But final decision whether they are satisfied with the solution or not was in hand of what? Was in hand of the end users. So end user used to, close the ticket, but resolving used to happen by the technical team. Remember that? Correct? So now over here in this case, who is creating the problem? Technical team. Who is solving the problem? Technical team. So because only one team can see the problem record, obviously it makes sense that only the problem, only this particular team, as in only the problem team, sorry, only the technical team is working on this particular record. So that's why close and resolved are the same state over here. We don't have any difference over here. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Now, so once the issue is fixed, I'll click on close and I'll change the state and move it to update. So now my problem record got solved in the system. So now I'm good to go with. Now let's see the next one. This is about the problem record. Next is change. What is change? Let's see the definition first. What it says. It says a change means what is done to fix the problem. It can be as simple as a software upgrade or a new network printer may be required. What does it mean? Means, let's say the issue was, suppose I got an issue, you raised to me an incident saying that, okay, suppose the server went down. That was the issue raised by you, that the server went down. So what will I do? I'm the technical team. I analyze the issue. I found the fix of it. Now to apply the fix of whatever issue you have faced, you can't apply the fix right away. You have to get the approval from the client. The client should agree for paying for that particular change in the system. And then only that record, then only that code, whatever has to fix the issue can be applied in the go live instance. Because of that, what we do is to keep a track of this deployment process, as in to keep a track of this code migration to the production instance, you create something called change record in the system. So whenever any issue comes or whenever any new enhancement request comes, any new change has to be implemented, you create a change record in which you specify which is the date when the change is going to be forward. You need to get approvals for the change. Obviously, the client or your manager should approve the change. They should validate that, okay, whether the change is correct or not, whether on this date it can be deployed or not, whether you have funding for that or not. All those validations will be done. Once it is validated, once it is approved, then on the particular start date of the change, the code will be deployed to the production or the go live URL. Does that make sense to all of you? Guys? Make sense? Now, how will you create the change in the system? Let's see that. And then we'll end this one over here as itself. So for creating a change, I'll write change in the left navigation. And I'm going to create a new change in the system. Now, whenever you are creating change in the system, change is always of three types. Within Servicenow, there's an important question when you are writing certification. That is, what all different type of changes are there in the system? So the first is your a change of type normal is there in the system, a change of type standard, and a change of type emergency is there. So these are the three type of changes available in the system. So let's see with the bottom one, emergency change. When you raise this change, like when the issue which has to be fixed is of highest criticality. Like as I gave you the example, if the server itself is down, obviously nothing is working in the tool, because if your tool server is down, people can't access the instance, correct? People can't log in into the URL itself because server is down. So in this case, obviously the criticality will be very high. So in that case, if the criticality of the issue is very high, then you will raise a change of type emergency. It is very urgent to deploy that particular code change, whatever is the code change required, whatever is the configuration required, whatever kind of change it is. That will be of type emergency. Next type is normal. Any change which is of least priority, like a printer change. Even if the printer change is delayed for a month or so, it's okay because other printers are there in your company. So that will be a normal change. A change with the least priority is called normal change. And any change which lies between the normal and the emergency, based on the priority of it, based on the criticality of it, will be called a standard change. So this is more of a concept, but yeah, it will be important when you will be writing Servicenow level admin certification. This is an important question being asked. That is what all type of different changes are there in the system. So these are the three different type of changes. Does that make sense to all of you? Yeah. I'm going to start with a plain one. Let's say I start with an emergency, suppose, for example. So again, you can see here the number is starting with CHG. So that again we can understand that, okay, if the number is starting with CHG, what kind of change it is? It is a kind of your change request. Now requested for by default takes the logged in person name. So by default the system understands that, okay, this is getting requested for you yourself. You are creating a record over here. Next is what over here? Next is the categorization. What kind of issue it is, that category you are going to select it over here. Is it a hardware? Is it a software? Whatever it is, that categorization you are going to select it over here. What kind of change is it? Is it going to bring a hardware change over there in the system? Is it going to bring a software change in the system? That you are going to provide it over here. Priority, again, what kind of priority it is. After applying this change, let's say a code was to be deployed as part of this change, what risk can occur? How risky it is to apply this particular change, that will be your risk. Okay. What is next over here? Let's see that. Next one is your impact. So how risky it is, it becomes a risk, and how it can impact the business. Will it be good for the business? Will it be okay for the business? On that, you are going to select what? On that, you are going to specify the impact over here. Next is what over here? Short description. Let's say this change is to fix server issue. Whatever type of it is, I'll just specify the type over here. Next is what? Next is the description. Detailed description. What kind of change it is going to do? Let it be. State is always new. Conflict we are going to see after some time. Assignment group assigned to you already know from the other table. So let it be. I'll move forward. Over here, planning is a section which we have not seen earlier. So let's see in this case of change, what is planning. So in the case of planning, you are going to provide for what purpose you have created the change, what it is going to bring it in the system. Those purposes you are going to define it over here. Okay. So now what am I going to provide over here? Let's see, you can see it over here, justification. Why is this change required in the system? That justification you are going to give it over here. What is the need of this change in the system? That is your justification. Implementation plan, as in how you are going to apply this change. So let's say this change needs to apply code A, code B, code C. So whatever is the steps to apply the change in the production, let's say, suppose I have to move the code A, code B and C. I'll give all those in the implementation plan. Risk analysis. So I can give the risk like, look, okay, I can give the risk, let's say that if this code goes wrong, the server can get crashed. It can be one of the risks. Whatever kind of risk you see in the system, which can be caused while applying, if this change goes wrong, what kind of issue can come in the system? That is going to be your risk element. Backout plan. If something fails, let's say I went ahead to deploy a code A. If that code A causes another issue, how will I revert it back? So for reverting it back, you are going to give it backout plan. How to remove that change back. So let's say, for example, I move the code A. So for removing, what I can do, I can remove the code A. So that can be my backout plan. Test plan. So once the code goes into production, how will I test? How will the customer test whether the code went fine in the system or not? So that is your test plan. How the testing team can see whether the code went fine in the production or not. That is your test plan in the system. Does that make sense, guys? Next, what is there? Next is schedule. So when let's say I'm creating a request on behalf of my manager asked me to create the change. So on which change date was this change requested? That date is your requested by date. Vanilla, what you want me to explain? Tell me the field which you want me to explain. Vanilla, are you there?
Yeah, backup plan.
Sorry, backup plan?
Yeah.
Okay, so if something goes wrong, let's say this particular change was to include a particular script in the system. Let's say a new script I was moving to production. So if anything goes wrong, how will I remove that code? Obviously, I can delete that code. Let's say this is the backup plan. So backup plan means once the change goes, if something goes wrong, how will you remove that change in the system? So obviously, I can remove the change by deleting the code whichever I deployed it in the system. So that is the backup plan. How can I remove the code which I implemented just now? If it caused another issue, by implementing that code, how will I remove it? I'll remove it by applying the backout plan, whatever is given in the backout plan. How to remove it is the backout plan. Does that make sense to you?
Clear, Saloni. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so on what date my manager asked me to create the change record, that will be requested by date. On which date the requested by person asked you to implement the change becomes your plan requested by date. Planned start date is the date on which I have to implement the change in the system. So let's say this particular change, I got the approval, my manager told, okay, you move it on 1st May. So this is my start date and time. Now, always you will see that whenever you move a code in the system, you get a threshold time. That is, let's say migrating the code takes 1 hour, but still you get some extra hours. Why? So that if something goes wrong, you have enough time to remove those extra unwanted codes, fix those issues, unwanted issue if it comes in the system. So that's why planned start date is at the planned time when you're going to start. Planned end date is the planned date and time when you're going to end. So let's say I can even select on 1st only, I'm not going to end it on 8 a.m. but I'm going to end it at, let's say, 13. So my manager is giving me an hour or 5 hours he is giving me to do the deployment, test it, and see if everything is correct. If not, then we'll have to remove it. We'll have to back it out on the need required in the system. Does that make sense in the system? Okay. Now, so this is about the planning which you are doing. Actually, I'll come to that later. And I'm going to just submit this part. Sorry, I don't some other material. Yeah, I'm going to just submit it up. So already I submitted it. Now, once you submit it, what will happen? Now you need to approve a request for approval. I told you that once you raise a change request, some client or someone has to date it whether the change is valid or not. So what you will do after requesting the change, after creating the change, you have to click on request approval. Request approval means what? It will go to someone to approve the change, means someone will validate the change, then only the start date it will get implemented. If it is not approved, the change will not get implemented. So now I've created the record. It says assignment group is mandatory. Let me fill it up. I'm just filling anything over here and I'm going to click on request approval. So now what will happen? It will go for approval. Let's see how will people approve it. So now you can see the state got changed to authorized because someone has to authorize, someone has to validate the change. How will I see who are the approvers? At the bottom, you can see in the approver tab, the people, all these people right now sitting in the approver are the people who have to approve it over here. Does that make sense? Now how will the person approve? So suppose I am the approver, I can either come to the change record and approve it, or I'll type in the left side, I'll type my approvals. Under self-service, I'll go to my approval. Suppose I'm the approver. I'll go to this my approvals. I'll be able to see all the record where I am the approver. Right now I'm logged in a system admin. It is showing my name. Because I'm developer, because I'm admin person right now, I can even see the approver waiting for others to approve. I'll click on all. Otherwise, if you are not the admin person, you will not be able to see the records waiting for other people to approve. So you can see this is in requested state. So you have to approve only the record, only the approval which are in requested state. So only those need approval. So I'll do what? If I want to approve, I'll click on approve. If I want to reject, obviously I'll click on reject. So let me click on approve. You can see the moment I clicked on approve, all these got changed to no longer required. Why? Because we needed approval from any of these people. We didn't want approval from everyone. We wanted approval from any of these. So if one approved, it went automatically changed to what? Automatically it changed to your no longer required for others. So it is right now designed like that in the system. It can even be the case that you want approval from all the people. Make sense? So now if I refresh the change, how will I refresh the page? Right click and go to the last option, that is reload form, then the page will get refreshed. So once you go over here, now you can see what? State has got changed to schedule. Now, once you change this, once the state is changed to schedule, only the schedule changes can be implemented on the scheduled date. What was the scheduled date? I gave 1st of May, correct? So on the 1st of May, whosoever is the team who need to deploy the code, whose activities to deploy the code, They will come in the system and they will do what? They will go to the planning. They will see what is the implementation plan, whatever they have to do. And at the start time, they will start working on the deployment. Now, obviously, once they start the deployment, what they'll have to do? They will have to click on the implement button because they started the deployment. So just to track how much time it took, they will click on implement and now implementation has started. So now if we go to schedule, you can see actual start got populated with the timestamp when you clicked on implement. Whatever was the timestamp that got populated over here. So right now I'm doing it on 28th itself, but obviously in the real time scenario it will be done on the date on which the implementation was scheduled. Does that make sense, guys? Now once it is done, what will I do? Once my deployment is done, I have validated it and everything went fine, then I'll click on review. Means what? Once you click on review, what are you doing? You are just validating it, but otherwise the deployment has completed. So you can see what when you clicked on review, automatically or actual end came over here. So actual start and actual end tracks the actual time took it and it took for the deployment process. Make sense? And now obviously after you have validated and all, you will click on close. So the change record will get closed in the system. At the time of closing, you can see closer information has a star, means it has some mandatory fields which you need to fill it in the system. So once you fill it in and you click on close, means you are done with the deployment process and the code successfully went in the production. Any query on this one, guys? So far so good? Okay. So then I'll stop today's class over here. We'll resume on Monday. So we'll connect on Monday to see the other stuff. Okay. Okay then guys, let's catch up on Monday. Tell me, Vanilla, any query?
Yeah, if you have time, Saloni, we can continue.
On this weekend, actually, I'm not available. I'll try to be regular. As I told you, I have to travel on 5th to 13th. So after 13th, for sure, I'll be regular on weekends as well.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I have some personal work. I have some visa processing and all. So I have to go for them. So actually, I'm going to to attend a Servicenow company training. They conduct Servicenow knowledge trainings every year. So for that, I'm going actually. So I need a break from 5th to 13th and also on this weekend.
Yes, Saloni. Yeah. Actually, we are created ServiceNow user. We use, and I help her to Ramya to how to log in everything, and I will try to do myself what you are explained previous class.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.
Happy weekend. Bye.
To Saloni. Bye.